What's up, everyone? It is How I See It with Jessica, Evil Eye, myself, and my very, very good friend and coach, Darren Branch. Darren, say hello to everybody.
Oh, hello, everyone. Hello, Internet. It is I, Darren Branch. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at KeeblerIsTiny. I'm happy to be here with Jessica shortly after UFC 264, which I have a nickname for.
Oh, yeah, for me? Well, wait a minute. We have so much to talk about and so many things that we have to cover. Okay, like first and foremost, let's tell the listeners that how excited we are about our show and just like the different things that we're going to be doing between learning about myself, learning about you, and some of the different stuff that we're going to showcase. You know, I have a plan for Darren. I can't wait for our first segment on what to do with Darren, and it's going to be I need some ideas, guys, so you can definitely help. But I think the first one you should have to learn how to do is walk in high heels and like hold a tray. Like you need to be a server, like a cocktail waitress for the night. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, we have a lot of stripper friends, so we'll go. We're gonna go make this happen. I'm calling Sapphires or the Crazy Horse, and you're doing it.
I love that you just want to put me in heels immediately. You're like, so I'm starting this new venture, and the very first thing I need to do is put Darren in heels.
Well, I feel like it's funny, and it just, I like the challenge for you.
And I have amazing legs.
Yeah.
I have tremendous legs that need to be displayed.
So I am very excited. This podcast has been something I've been like throwing around for a really long time. And, you and I both, during the pandemic, we actually went to start the podcast, and I felt like I had so many things to say and so many things I want to share and connect with people. And then it just kind of like went off the board for us. So we've now found an amazing studio that we absolutely love and a group of guys that are really going to take care of us. And I'm really excited for it, and I'm really excited to share things with the fans and get connected with them.
And you've got to have more fans now than you had before we had this fight.
5,000 at least. I think it was a specifically 5,000 people that I got to increase on my Instagram. But come on now. Like I'm now Jessica the Third Eye. I am no longer Jessica Evil Eye. So you will no longer be calling me the Evil Eye, guys. Third Eye is exactly what it is. But I mean, technically it is. So yes, here it is, my first like true outing of my forehead. And I feel like everywhere I've gone for this week, everybody has, like most women, they're like, oh, they just look at my boobs. Well, clearly I don't have very big boobs. So all they were doing is looking at my forehead. And I've gotten such a mixed array of things. Like sometimes, obviously, when we were out getting food, like they look at me and they're like, oh my God, someone beat her, somebody hurt her. They really don't know how to respond to it. And you know what's crazy is for many years of my fight career, I never had a problem with that. Like I wear black eyes proud and I wore all this. But obviously after the decision and after UFC 264 and the forehead and how everything happened, I wasn't as proud of this. You know what I mean? I wasn't as proud as my forehead. I mean, I love the pictures. I like look back at it and I'm like, dude, that girl is so cool. Right? Like I look at that girl and go, that girl's cool. But I didn't feel like this was something I did to earn to myself. I feel like it was something that was circumstantial to the moment, and it doesn't feel good.
Because it was a headbutt.
Yeah.
Right? Like because it wasn't a legal shot or because it wasn't something that like you have to defend and you're normally like ready for. It's just a headbutt. Things that happen that aren't even scored in the points, right? Like no one cares that you got headbutted technically, right? It doesn't count. Like it's not a strike, right? There's not a significant strike that was marked headbutt 1 for Jennifer, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, but we all know that that's like if you were in the gym and we were sparring with no headgear before the fight, right? And someone leads with their head. I wasn't leading with my head. I had thrown the punch. She came in, that way. So without getting way too controversial on that, because the last thing I want to fucking hear is anybody tell me that like I'm being a poor sport or I'm being, all these things. Because I almost like feel like if I defend myself too much in my honor and how I feel about it, people are gonna be like, oh, don't be a crybaby. You should have finished the fight or blah blah blah. And I literally like you can't argue with people who don't understand the skill set.
True.
And in that way. But it's just it wasn't the fight was fun. I had a great time in the fight. You know what I mean? Our performance was great. Our camp was awesome. I mean, didn't you love training at HighRollerz?
I think it was the best camp that I've gotten to be a part of with you.
Yeah.
Like by a large margin. It was a tremendous camp.
Emotionally, physically. I mean, we any little like injuries that we had are normal injuries, and I think every fighter goes in a little bit injured, and whatever way that they are. You know what I mean? Obviously, Conor's now coming out saying that his leg, had stress fractures beforehand, and that's a topic, and we'll get there.
We will.
For that one, because if I had stress fractures, I wouldn't have thrown the kick multiple times, so you wouldn't have to worry about it to even shut your own leg down. But needless to say, I had a great camp with you. I love training at HighRollerz. Lonnie and Matt, and I see Mike over there open up their facility. If you guys have not checked it out, HighRollerz facility here in Las Vegas is a cannabis-infused jiu-jitsu competition, and they welcomed us like wholeheartedly. We had the whole facility the whole time. We got to listen to, music all the time that we wanted. It was private. I got to smoke all the time, which is awesome. So, like being able to smoke and use the facility. And again, being with 3 amazing guys. Chris, my boxing coach, Darren, you, my, jiu-jitsu coach, and my new coach, Kite Cope, which, most people know him as a famous kickboxer. It was the best camp. Made weight Thursday night. Like it was a great camp. So to see things come out the way that they did, it's definitely put me in a spiral. I mean, not in like a bad way, but it's just like I'm so logical on the things I do. And I know you are for me. Like you've been nothing but a supportive friend and coach, and I'm still like trying to figure it out. But that's why like I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like I
like it as a metaphor, but I don't like it as a real thing, right? Like I like it from the idea of like the third eye is supposed to give you a greater perspective. Right.
I mean, is that what I'm supposed to do?
And
should I just have that whole,
I'm just fucking with the metaphor.
No, I'm just saying, but I'm asking. Like at this point, give me some advice, you guys. Help me out here. Do I go third eye? Do I do the whole like, hey, Joe Rogan, I'm sorry, you don't get to use the third eye logo anymore. That's physically me. I'm gonna need my royalties on that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And of course, last name I, and then that happening. But
so I think anytime that you say, oh, I had the best camp, and I truly believe I had a great performance, and I truly believe I won, right? But you didn't get your hand raised.
Or my tally mark.
And you didn't get the tally mark, and you didn't get the winner's purse, then that can send you into what you called a spiral, which we don't want to over-dramatize, right? Dramatize. We don't want to make it such a big deal. But to say, like, this puts me in a space where I have to start evaluating, what the fuck am I doing? And where the fuck do I want to go?
But it makes it because only, again, going back to the same thing, like if I am a football player and I go out and I have a terrible game and I, throw 6 interceptions or, I fumble the ball, these guys get paid. And I think that, the way that we're paid and the way that goes, and granted, I am the first and foremost to say it's occupational hazard, and I know what I signed up for. So I've been doing this long enough to understand that. But to go out and fight a fight where I literally did everything right in the fight and I showcased like a skill set, like I actually showcased how good someone can be at a sport, right? That's like me being like, hey, if I'm gonna run, I'm gonna be a running back. Like, you want to see me run? Like, I feel like I showcased the art. You know what I mean? Like, and I got to showcase the skill set. It is hard to kick someone 20 times and connect. It is hard to take someone down 3 times in a fight. It is hard to throw 20 some odd body shots. You know what I mean? Like, it is not hard to headbutt somebody in the head. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what the fuck? How does that even happen? And for the viewers, I don't know if you guys haven't seen it or if you're just becoming a new Just Guy fan and you did not tune into the fight. Let's show them a picture of this cut that we're talking so much about. Oh, there it is. Darren, look.
Oh, yeah, there's that beautiful girl. There's that beautiful girl with that beautiful face.
It's
and that
crazy
beautiful smile.
In that moment is when I knew that those stupid judges were going to judge against me. And I knew it. I was like, I have to show my warrior. And I've said that a couple of times online. I was like, I am a warrior and I'm showing my warrior. You know what I'm saying? In that way. And that's what it was. And I knew that was a possibility. My first boxing coach told me, never wear white in the ring, Jess, never. And I'm like, why, coach? He's like, you never wear white in the ring because it can sway the judges, right? Your blood or not your blood. My very first Bellator fight I ever got, I got split down. I was fighting actually Chuck Liddell's ex-wife at the time, Casey Nolan. It was a great fight. It was awesome. It was in my hometown. It was in Cleveland, well, Canton, but in Ohio. And I had a white top on, and I think that's actually, I'll have to find that picture and we'll have to show the viewers at some point. But it was one of those things that I ended up losing a round because I was in a white top and like a white sportswear top, and there was blood all over me.
Yeah.
All over me. And again, it goes down to those things like, how does a little bit of blood sway? Is it the blood that sways them, or is it the lack of understanding of the sport that like where's that line? You know what I mean? And again, I had no idea how shitty these judges are. And I didn't even think about it, right? You guys were the ones who told me, Jess, these two judges are known for this. You know what I mean? Like,
are we naming names here?
Yeah, of course. Why would we not?
Naming names? Because I'd love to name some names.
Yeah, who was it?
Sal D'Amato.
Sal D'Amato.
The other lady, Adelaide Byrd. I won't say completely disparaging, ignorant things to you like I want to, but like there are reasons that you're known for the kind of decisions that you're known for. If you're a shitty
waiter, you're getting a shitty tip. You know what I mean? Like,
or you're getting another job as long as the government's appointing you.
But that's where it's disappointing to know that that's the way that things are. But I find myself questioning that even in this sport, if it'll ever be that way. You know what I mean? Why is it in the NFL that, we have multiple camera views of stuff? Like we have people, watching the game that are coming down and calling down to, I'm saying, hey, we want to challenge that. Like we want you to replay that. We want you to double check that. How are we in an industry that you can bet so much money and we're not like fact checking everything? Why is someone not watching that and going, like if I get a touchdown, I get 7 points. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the problem.
But that's what I'm saying. So
the problem is,
at what point, if I hit you 20 times in the body, 20 body shots, 20 of my right hands got to your body, why doesn't that count for anything? That's so hard.
The reason it doesn't count for anything is because we deal with it in a completely subjective manner.
I hate it.
So when someone scores a touchdown, they look at it and they say, did the ball breach this exact amount of space? If the ball breaches this exact amount of space, then they get this exact amount of points for this exact reason, right? If you punch somebody 20 times in the body, you don't get 20 points. And we know this. But yeah. I'm really talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
So if I hit you 20 times in the body, I don't get 20 points. If those 20 times that I hit you in the body register to the judge in the chair more than however many times you hit me in my body, I get a total of 10 points. And if I haven't beaten you up badly enough, then you only get 1 point subtracted from a total of 10 points. You get 9 points. But if I beat the shit out of you, maybe you get 8 or 7 points. So there's no direct...
Takedowns used to win fights.
There's no direct correlation to like, I do this action, I score this amount of points. And because of that subjectivity, we have moments like the ones that we're in right now. It's just the way it is, right? At least that's what we're supposed to say. We're supposed to say, well, nature of the sport. We're supposed to say, well, you can't leave it in the hands of the judges. Well, then what the fuck are they there for?
And even on top of that, I always say that exactly, what are they there for, number one? But number two, like it is the hardest sport in the world. How, you're telling me we are the top of the top. If you get a finish, you're lucky. If you get a submission, you are lucky. It is hard to do that. It is absolutely hard to have those kinds of shutouts. You know what I mean? If everybody in baseball was having literally he's hit, there's no, what do they call them? No shutouts or whatever.
Yeah, no hitters.
No hitters and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you know how hard that is to do? You know what I mean? Multiple times in a row. So for people to say like to not understand that, and I should say not people to say, but to have my life be narrated in a way that is unfair and unjust to me, that I don't get the chance to, to actually have a say so. You know what I'm saying? Or that there's no level of standard across the board that everybody gets. You know what I mean? That no matter what happens, if you've done this, this is what you get. You know what I mean? It's no different. If you make weight, you get your show money. You show up for the fight, you get show money.
That's the only subjective thing in the whole fucking sport. And this is what I've been thinking about lately, right? And I really just started thinking about it even more just now. The only subjective thing that you can really translate is how much do you draw and how much will you get for your show money. That's what you have the most control over.
I think that this is one of those things that kind of like parallel off to like some of the things I'm doing in my life. Obviously, like, it's public knowledge what we make out there. You know what I mean? Like, I make $51,000 to show up. Like, that's a decent amount of money to show up on top of, what we make for our Venom pay. It's decent for me. It bothers me that they can do so much and take from us by doing that, the win bonus and stuff like that. But it's not enough money. Like, that money that they took from us doesn't feed our team. It doesn't get us very far. You know what I mean? Even me, you know what I mean? I have to split that up. And to be honest, the person that I am, I can't even imagine not taking care of my team. And you know that. I mean, shoot,
I do know that.
We moved here 2.5 years ago. We all literally, like, listeners, we moved here 2.5 years ago. Myself, Darren, and my brother all live together. And we most recently, our house got sold, as you know, in this crazy pandemic. Vegas is like booming. Houses are selling. People are, getting evicted at last minute because the rent, everything's going. But we were a team, and all these things are changing for us. And now I can't take care of us, and I don't like that. So like when I think about being an objective person in a subjective lifestyle, it's something I have to think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to fight again. I'm an addict. We've talked about this before. I'm an addict. Even if I had the moment where I was like, man, I'm going to walk away from fighting. I'm going to try all these other things.
Excuse me, Jessica, this is the Matchmakers. And we're going to have you face some random bitch at a random time. Are you in?
Yeah, of course. And I wouldn't know how to. It's crazy. I know. And I know that enough to know about myself. So I've been working on new things. Obviously, we're working on the podcast, which I'm super excited about. And obviously just having this develop. But I kind of always knew when I lost my gallbladder, right? Like, and we were all going through all that, stuff at our house. It really affected the pandemic. Everything affected us. So we lost a lot of money. So during that time, I started my OnlyFans, and I know the stigmas that come behind, and I know what people assume. But the amount of money I have made on OnlyFans has really sustained me better than fighting ever did. And I actually find it rewarding.
So is the reward a feeling of like, because the smile on your face when I look at you when you say that, it made it look like you feel some kind of freedom.
I do. Financial
it liberated
freedom.
you.
But it is financial freedom, but also security. I'm a single woman. You know what I mean? My parents, my father's dead. My brother lives here. He's 27. Like we're constantly parenting my brother together. You know what I mean? In those ways.
You've got two puppies to support.
I got 2 puppies.
Got some real shit on your plate.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's only me. So it's like when people say things like I'm always thinking of that. Like, fighting is something I absolutely did to have fun, right? And I had fun this camp, and I had fun in that fight, and everybody saw it. Like, I was having a good time. Having a good time is how you beat someone up that way, not getting headbutt. But I started the OnlyFans, and it's just made it so much easier to connect with fans, connect with people. I mean, even on top of it, like, there's one of the gentlemen on my page, and sorry, Jesse, I'm gonna put you out here. He's a great guy, but he ended up losing his leg in a motorcycle accident, and hearing his stories and like talking with him like made me feel like, wow, man, the things I deal with in my life are not that bad. You know what I mean? And then the fact that these people support me, and again, great. People want to see my butt cheeks. It's on there too. And then some guys want to talk. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it kind of goes both ways, but I'm actually seeing that like fighting is one side of me. OnlyFans allows me to showcase all sides of me. You know what I'm saying? Like when someone asks me, you know, what I cooked or like ask me about recipes and, you know, even some of the, like, I mean, I have regular people on there. Again, it goes down to me optimizing my platform and optimizing how you connect with me. You know what I mean? Cameo, when I tried Cameo it just wasn't, how do I say it? Like you really couldn't capitalize financially.
Okay.
But it also, you know what I mean? Like I'm a beautiful person. And I feel like for many years of my life, up until, and even with this beautiful, on my forehead, I think it's the first time I've ever felt pretty about myself and like felt like a woman. So I've enjoyed that a little bit more.
Do you think that you were already feeling that before you launched it? Or did that like launching it help you tap into that and see it even more?
No, not at all. You know, we were coming off the gallbladder surgery. I had been so sick. We got staph infection. You know what I mean? Like there were so many things that were going on at the time. Like I didn't feel pretty. I felt like the world was kind of attacking me. I didn't like the way that other people were infecting my brain and my thoughts of myself. You know what I mean? Like they were able to control how I looked at myself. So then whenever I put myself in a position, like I said, with the OnlyFans, not only was I making a financial gain in that way, but I was also making these people happy. And then while I made them happy, it made me happy. And I like that. I mean, I think you know that well enough to know me, Darren. Like I like to give to see people happy. You know what I mean? And in result, I want you to be happy and do something better for yourself, right? If you're hungry.
I've seen this. I've seen this in my life. I've seen you yell at me for not doing things, and I've seen you pick me up for doing things. Like I know exactly what the fuck you're talking about.
So I feel like I'm realizing that. And I have friends that are in the sex work industry. I have friends that you know, who are not, you know what I mean? Like, and I found myself being a little bit more diverse person and helping all of the people who would like say things about OnlyFans or like be scared about it. Like I know other girls, when they seen me come out with mine, they're like, oh, I can do it now. And I know I'm a trendsetter in that way. Like I know that some girls, you know, like will follow my platform, you know what I mean? To see how I'm doing it. You know what I mean? To see what I'm doing. And because also, one thing I could tell you is that my clientele on there, like when people got mad when I launched my, when I did the price list, you know what I mean? So obviously, like I can do whatever I want. My body is my body. And if you don't want to buy it, you don't have to buy it. I don't have to show you, you know what I mean? Or I don't have to talk to you. If you don't want to pay the $30 to talk to me a month, you don't have to. That's fine. But if you do, these are the things that you will get, you know, with your membership. But I think that I've been able to set a tone in that way. And I'm, again, not selling myself short. You know what I mean? Like you can go in there, you can pick from multiple things from Skyping to, you know, and like if you want to buy something signed from me or if you want to just talk. You know what I mean? Like, or if you want to see me in a very beautiful outfit or you want to see me provocative. And you know what? To be honest, it's helped me. Like, it's teaching me how to flirt again. Like, all that I've ever done in my life has always been fighting. It's always been like raw, 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 you know, like force, 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 like fight, fight, fight. You know what I mean? Like, my childhood was that, you know, even in my younger, you know, years now that, like, I'm not going to lie. I like the attention I'm getting from it more.
Because it's a completely different kind of attention. It's not it's not the attention from like, hey, you're a fucking tough chick.
You're so badass.
Yeah,
man.
so like, no, that's the thing.
You're not gonna beat me up.
No, look at your body posture. That's what the fuck it is.
Oh,
it's like when you're going out, and a guy's like, yeah,
what's up? Quit flexing.
You're really jacked,
dude. Yes.
What he really wants to say is like, I'm really attracted to you. I'm trying to figure out if you'd ever let me fuck you, but I don't know what to say.
Did I tell you that when I was down in Miami, when I went to Miami, how like the guys were saying that to me? Like the one guy like didn't know how to like address me. He was like, you're like, you know what I mean? Like, so he's like literally like grunting and like biting his lip and stuff. And I was like,
it's like, I'm not like that.
I was like, Are you telling me? I don't know. You know what I mean? I was literally like, God, is this what we've got to ourselves in this world? But I mean, poor guys anymore. You're not allowed to compliment any females, or I'm sure you're harassing them. And I'm sorry, because that absolutely sucks.
It is a little scary.
It is scary for you guys nowadays, because you can't. But that's, again, why I like the OnlyFans platform, is it creates that platform for us to be able to stop things like that where, it's unwarranted. You know what I'm saying? And nobody has to feel unwanted. Like, no one's like, oh man, like, hey Jess, can I get a dick review? Or something. You know what I mean? Like, that will be X amount of dollars. Sure, no problem.
Have you gotten anything like that yet?
Oh, dude, yes.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yes. It was okay. I will keep saying it. Like, I'm still so new to all of this, and it's been an ever-growing thing. I've been taking advice from other people in the industry, but like, the first time that happened, I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? And like, I honestly felt bad for the guy on the other end, because I'm like, man, like, I didn't want him to feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want him to like.
Unless that's his goal.
I get that. And believe me, that's a thing. Like, that's a thing. That really is. That's a thing. I know. And I get it. But at the same time, like, you know me, I'm too kind in that way sometimes. And, everybody who goes to my OnlyFans, you can see, you pay your $30 a month. We can chat it up. You can just buy content if you want to buy some content. Or you just want to ask me, advice. It's virtually whatever. You can't get that close to me anymore. And I don't think anybody should have, give themselves away for free. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Like, in some ways, where like, I'm not saying don't help people, and I will be the first person, and I have, and my fans knows, and anybody who has ever met me or even been out, like, if you stop me and talk to me, I'm always gonna take a picture. I'm always gonna put myself second, no matter what, right? Like, it even showed on fight night, man. I smiled, I gave her a hug. Like, I do the hard stuff. I do what I have to do for that moment.
I've been there for those moments. I remember being in the car on the way back from the fight, and that decision of, all right, what do we do now? Like, there's always after parties, there's always events, and it's like, okay, we feel like we've done everything right, and we didn't get the outcome that we wanted. So what do we do now? Like, is this the time to celebrate? Is this the time to sulk? Is this the time to fake celebrate or fake sulk? Like, what are we supposed to fucking do? And I know what you chose to do. You chose to go show your face in a public place where there are a lot of people that were there that could have criticized you, that could have supported you. You put yourself in the place to be seen. I think that was a brave choice, and that's one of the reasons. It's just an example of why I fuck with you.
I appreciate that, and I think that's where we're at. I think I'm always trying to be the example. I said this multiple times that night. I go, I'm really the girl that's supposed to go through all the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm supposed to go through all the bad things, and I'm gonna be that example for others. And I don't know if that really is me, but it seems like that. And I'm okay with it as long as I know that I am financially stable. And I know that sounds like people are like, oh, is it all about money? I'm not saying money. I want my bills paid. I want my food. I want to be able to eat food. I want my friends. I want you to be taken care of. I want my brother to be taken care of. So, obviously working with OnlyFans allows me to do those things. And it's allowing me to get in front of the microphone, you and I, to finally start our podcast, start the journey with people, and show them our idea on what we're looking to do, moving forward. So there are so many parallels from one thing to the next. It's always changing. You know what I mean? In that way. Do. So I am excited about that.
And that freedom can allow you to make choices that you couldn't have made before. Like, knowing that you have some more security doesn't mean that like fighting is the only way that you can earn. Mm-hmm. Doesn't put your back up against the wall. But that doesn't mean that addict for fighting, that addict for that moment still doesn't live in there.
It's going to be in me the rest of my life. I'm always going to be that way. Fitness is always going to be a part of my life. I love fitness in some another way. But for the longest time, fitness was for purpose. not for passion.
I totally understand.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, I even think about it. I'm like, man, like, cause like obviously I'm going to train, we're going to train, once stitches come out and everything. On my birthday, July 27th, my stitches come out.
That's what you get for your birthday.
Oh man. So I am going to train. But I'm also going to exhaust these things, right? Like I'm going to really put some effort. Like we'll put effort into the podcast. I definitely want to put efforts in more into my OnlyFans and into the people that are purchasing direct time with me, right? Like that's direct from them to me, and nobody gets a portion of that. Like that's mine to share how I feel, is needed in that way. But, like to try new things, you know what I mean? And in a lot of fun ways. And I don't know that I've ever, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's right. You know what I mean?
We'll see.
I literally, as soon as I say it, like, I feel like I blacked out for a second. I was like, oh my God, I heard him ask me to fight again. And I was like, yes. Yeah, shit. You know what I mean? Like,
it's hard to say no.
But I do enjoy it. I really do. And that's why this fight and everything that we did was, it's such... Like, how do we even look at it? Is because I had the best camp, the best weight cut, best performance, all these things.
I know, you did everything.
And that's there, but I almost like, it's just, every day is a little bit better. And I know that if I ever want to try anything out, I have to try anything else for at least a couple months, I can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Now's the time.
Now's the time. Emotionally, now's the time. I think I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm ready to try new things. And, one of the things like we had originally talked about, is like the podcast, the OnlyFans. But the third thing that like I'm pretty freaking jacked about, and I think that I'm not going to spill all the beans quite yet, because I don't want anybody to steal my idea. And we've talked about this before, and I think it's been very common in not only just the world, you know what I mean, but among other athletes, among other people that are really starting to figure out food allergies and food sensitivities, man. There are so many people out there that have no idea what they're doing to their body, and we're now they're learning, right? We just went through the pandemic. Health is at an all-time priority right now. Our health has to be here no matter what. If you're sick, I'm not coming. If I'm not healthy, I'm not coming, right?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like we live in that industry or that world right now, so it's a good time to, have a gym. It's a good time for these things. But even more so, we're realizing that micronutrients, right? So like zinc, when they say like zinc helps fight against COVID, that we're realizing these micronutrients in foods are the way to battle some of these things and the way for them to happen. I think about it in our household. Remember whenever our household got COVID, I didn't get COVID. You didn't get COVID. You know what I'm saying?
As a bull.
But you're like me compared to Angela and Casey, at the time, like they're kind of bad eaters. And you know what I mean? They don't like, you and I are first of all like, oh dude, broccoli, like all the veggies, all the greens, like all the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like you like wholesome food and you like that. So I don't think that was something, like that you had a problem with, you know what I mean? But I feel like it's a big problem nowadays with people is they don't understand when they're eating, why they're feeling certain ways.
So you can create something. We won't tell everyone everything.
Yeah,
but you're concerned with the way that people eat, and you think that you have some things that could help.
Yes, I think that again, there's not enough knowledge out there yet for people to understand that they can find out knowledge, if that makes sense. Like there's knowledge out there. They need to be made aware of what they can do for themselves, right? Like if I'm getting sick, if my stomach hurts, if I'm not going to the bathroom, if I'm going to the bathroom, if I have headaches, you know what I mean? There's a reason, right? And food is fuel, man. We ingest it. You know what I'm saying? Our body is processing that as we eat. And listen, I just ate a whole box of Mike and Ike's. So I'm not perfect at all by any means. I will eat a box of Mike and Ike's, but I also know I'm allergic to dairy, so I'm not getting a Snickers and I'm not eating M&Ms. You know what I'm saying? But like I now know when I would eat them, when I would be like, oh man, like I want a bag of M&Ms, and I would eat it because I emotionally wanted it. And then when I would eat it, I wouldn't feel good.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's like, wait, I shouldn't eat candy. And it's like, actually, it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
It's not that you shouldn't eat candy. You can have that moment where you indulge in some sugary nonsense, especially if you work your ass off, right? You can have some fucking Sour Patch Kids, but if you eat this Almond Joy, bitch, you're going to be in the hospital.
Dude, terribly. Terribly. So remember right before I found out my gallbladder, again, like we're such good eaters, like, and I wasn't understanding what was going on, but it's like now how deathly allergic I am to eggs is like mind blowing. And how much at first when it happened, when I first found out I had all these food allergies and sensitivities, when I first found out about them, it was crazy because like I thought I was never going to eat again. You know what I mean? Remember whenever we started the elimination diet?
I remember.
And I gotten home from the Cleveland Clinic and they were basically like, you don't really get anything. I was like, so I can have like corn tortilla and rice.
They're like, enjoy that for the next 2 weeks of your life.
Yeah, right. It was crazy. I mean, I broke down. I broke down when I walked into the grocery store that way. And I am a very resourceful woman, and I am very lucky that I have the UFC PI. I have had multiple friends that understand food. I have great resources, right? But can you imagine not having them and not knowing what you're dealing with? I didn't know my gallbladder was, I knew something was wrong, but like me, of all people, I'm like hypersensitive to those kinds of things. And I know the fact that like, I didn't know, do you know how many people in the world like are going around with these symptoms and going around feeling this way and they just don't understand it?
A lot.
You know?
And like, I think it's really just going to be athletes, actors, politicians, people that people look at talking about things like this, talking not just about like diet in terms of weight loss. That's how we're used to talking about diet. And then like the second way we started talking about diet was like diet in terms of moral choice, right? Like I don't want to eat animals because it's naughty or because I value life, right? I think life is sacred, whatever the fuck, right? But now it's like, wait a second. There's smaller little issues here that can have giant effects on people's life, on their life expectancy, on their quality of life. If you change some of your eating patterns that aren't based on how skinny you want to be, how fat your ass should be, or whether or not you can eat Bambi, right? If you're just thinking like, how does your body process shit, right? And if you start from what is good for you as an individual.
If you listen, it's telling you. If you listen, your body will give you way more insight, right? Like it's so different. Like if you drink alcohol, you get drunk. You know what I mean? Like you're ingesting it. So
I mean, you get drunk.
I know, right? But and you know what the funniest thing is like when people say that, like, oh, I don't feel it, and then you're like, you're swerving. What do you mean? You can't even walk straight.
It's always that way.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like
people that smoke and say they're not high.
Yeah, right.
Get the fuck away from me.
I know. Liar, you know you high. But I think that God, who was it recently that you were telling me about that was on Joe Rogan? That was another famous grappler.
Gordon
Ryan, right?
Yeah, Gordon Ryan has stomach issues.
And he's got stomach issues in that way. Did they ever find out exactly what it was?
I believe they did. And he got some stem cell treatments, and he appears to be on the mend.
Yeah, but what is it?
I don't know the names. We'd have to look that up on the internet. I can do that if you want.
Yeah, but I'm just curious.
I'm not as fast as other internet personalities.
I'm not sure. I'm really not like, I don't know all of the different, stomach things, but like, and obviously I'm learning, but like digestive issues is by far one of the biggest issues that most people have that they don't want to talk about. You know what I mean? 100%. Nobody wants to talk about pooping. You know what I mean? If you aren't, or, like if you ate food and I got gassy and stuff like that, like it's embarrassing. Like when I told you guys, when I finally came crying into the room, to all of you guys, and I was like, hey man, I think I have colon cancer or something is going on. I am going to the bathroom all the time. My stomach always hurts and I think I'm going crazy. So knowing that, like, people can go, just like, again, you get septic from, having that food fermenting in your stomach because you're not digesting something that you're, not able to digest.
And that's exactly what's going on with Gordon. So Gordon has gastroparesis. And what that does is it's a condition that stops the stomach muscles and prevents them from emptying the stomach properly. Right? So you end up with like large portions of food still undigested inside the stomach because the muscles aren't working properly.
That's interesting. Now that's interesting.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. But I mean, the vagal nerve, so the vagal nerve controls that the vagal nerve goes from your brain all the way down to your stomach. When you get butterflies, that's your vagal nerve. That's what they would talk about. Like, oh,
it's a fluttery.
You see someone, the flutter, your vagal nerve is stimulating your gut. That's why some people are like, oh, I'm so happy I could poop, or like, oh, they get sick, or they're like, oh, I'm gonna vomit. Your vagal nerve does that. And I almost am wondering, and I bet you I'm gonna have to research some more on that, if his vagal nerve, like, they can go in there and they can stimulate it to make the nerve start sending messages to the muscles that say, hey, turn on, work for us.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, and digest. I that's an interesting one, because I know that the number one that can happen the most with people is that an actual food allergy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so FODMAP foods, highly fermentable foods, right? So FODMAP is basically, it was a nutritional guideline, because I'm not going to call it a diet, right? Because it's not a diet. They call it the elimination diet, but I'm not going to, I never put it in that way. It's basically built to showcase foods and how they will ferment. So certain foods will ferment, right? Like, they'll ferment in your stomach, right? Because your body can't, if you have certain, stomach or intestinal issues, they just won't work because of how they're built, right? So, like, to understand, like, the carnivore diet, why, like, some of the carnivore diets and people do that is because they say don't eat broccoli, right? Because broccoli, when you boil it, when, they eat it or an animal eats it, it would give it gas or it'd make it bloated or it would smell. That is that plant's, basically, it's defense mechanism. It's saying, don't eat me. Like, don't do that. So that's why when you eat it, and if you eat too much, like, oh man, I'm bloated, or oh, I got gas, that is a reaction. That means you had way too much of that chemical, right? So plants have chemicals. I mean, they're everywhere. Asparagus is why your pee smells. Like, that is a chemical that was released inside of your stomach from that plant you ate. It's no different than, like, understanding herbal teas. When people are like, oh, I drink tea and it really relaxed me. Yeah, of course it did. You ingested it. That was what its job was. So, like, if you're eating food and you are not feeling good, you're not eating, like, those foods are not good for you. They're not fueling your body. You should be eating stuff. Your body should be digesting it and sending all the nutrients all over your body, not just sitting in your stomach and fermenting. So when it comes back to the FODMAP foods, it's basically a nutritional guideline that will help you to figure out if those FODMAP foods are causing symptomatic symptoms inside your stomach, right? Okay. So, like, bananas. But it's crazy. My whole life, I've never liked bananas. And people would literally be like, I could maybe take like a bite, and I was like, it's not anything.
Not for you.
I would feel like I had a rock in my stomach. You know what I mean? Almonds, you know what I mean? Which is crazy. It's like, almonds is one of my sensitivities. Most people have peanut allergies. You know what I mean? Like, and again, granted, I will do almond butters and stuff like that. But if I do too much in too many days in a row, it'll screw me up. I'll start to have reactive issues in my actual stomach. But anyways, the FODMAP diet allows you to set it up. You could try these foods. You take them out. You reintroduce. You remember we were at the house and they were like, no garlic. And I was like, I don't do
that. Can't be done.
I am willing to give up chocolate now at this point, right? Like, but garlic, no. But garlic is a FODMAP food. It's a FODMAP. Onion is a FODMAP. You know what I mean? But understanding that these fruits and even, meats, everything has a purpose. Even if it has a purpose for, cows fucking shitting and they fertilize grass. Grass does this. Like, everything has a purpose for each other. You know what I mean? Like, we all do. We are not supposed to eat, like, and listen, I've said it multiple times about myself. I call myself a megan. I'm a meat vegan. I cannot ingest dairy. You know what I mean? Like, so I am a meat vegan, and I don't know how most people are going to feel about it, but it's a very passionate thing I am about my life. But I feel like we're finding that more often in people because of production, how we make the quality of our food, right? How it gets to the consumer, right? Like if it's passed through 10 different hands before I'm eating it, like how? Like, why would you want to eat that?
Yeah, it's a product now. It's no longer food.
Like, I literally want to look at people and I'd be like, do you just want to drink motor oil?
Well, I do.
You know what I'm saying? But how does it taste
for the
good?
audience, motor oil is our nickname for high fructose corn syrup.
Yes, I'm allergic to high fructose corn syrup.
So we call it motor oil. But I am a drinker of said oil. I'm a demon.
I know, but are you really though? I feel like you do every once in a while. And I mean, every once in a while. And I get that, right? Like, that's like me. I'm like, every once in a while, I'm like, man, I need a Diet Mountain Dew. You know what I mean? Like, there's just times. And I get that. But again, as Americans, and the way that we consume food, and the way that we, even our food in our refrigerators, like, people have to have full fridges. Like, you waste all that food.
That's really fucking true.
Don't do that. Like,
it's really true. Unless you have a family of 5, why is there a completely full refrigerator in your house?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get through that before it goes bad.
No, and you're going to waste it.
Unless you buy food that stays, which is full of preservatives and shitty stuff. So, like, you either have shitty food or way too much food.
Yes. And I hate the way that that's how people look at themselves and treat themselves. You know what I mean? What's the point of working your ass off every day to go to work if you're not going to feed yourself properly for the next day? Because you don't have nothing if you don't have health. It don't matter. And if you're putting food in your body that is poisoning your body over time, it's no different than it's like all the little things, right? Like, you shouldn't drink all the time, right? You'll get liver issues. You shouldn't smoke all the time. You'll get cancer. There's things that happen that if we found some type of balance with the way that we consumed foods, people wouldn't feel like being oversized is a thing or being undersized is a thing. And we wouldn't have body shaming. You know what I'm saying? Like, if everybody just took a little bit better care of themselves, I think even the people who are overeaters, right? Like, say, they're just like, I overate, and now they've lost track of what food really means. You know what I mean? For their body.
So if they were it's more about being educated about what your individual body needs.
Everybody's different, and you have to think about that. And if you don't have a good enough relationship with yourself, what the fuck is the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have one body that we live in right now. You know what I mean? This is the only physical one I know. And
you're only going to get one vessel.
I only have this. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to make sure I make this the best. Like, I don't want to be gone in 5 years. Fuck. I literally said it to my brother the other day. I was like, man, can you imagine where we're going to be in 30 years? I'll be 65.
We'll be here.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what I want to be here till I'm 65, man. Yeah. And what I do with the next 30 years of my life, and how I eat, how I conduct my life, you know what I mean? Like, I have to control the controllables. You know what I mean? That's why when things like this happen, like, it spins my mind. You know what I mean? Because it's no different. I like controlling the controllables, and what cannot be controlled, you have to let go. You know what I mean? Like, I live my life that way so that I don't set myself up for failure. So I just wish all of you, and if you ever need any advice, you guys know where to find me. You know where to find the show. I hope that I can ever give people some good advice or encourage them to do that for themselves, because when it boils down to it, if COVID didn't tell you or show you that your health is super important, has nothing to do with COVID, like physically the sickness. You believe whatever you want. Like, I'm not even gonna go there with that. Like, not even to go to that level. I don't want to talk about it. I ain't giving my opinion, because that's just one of those things that I'm like, no, I'm fucking leaving the room. But COVID at least showed us health is very important. People died. Their bodies were not ready for any type of immune system attack. And if you have the chance to make something a little bit better for yourself, why not?
Yeah. You can be a little healthier.
Just a little bit healthier. Find balance. And you know, it's crazy. I think that most people, if they actually found that balance, they'd probably like themselves a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, they'd want to be out maybe more, or they'd want to do certain things. And again, maybe not. And hey, genetics are genetics too. You know what I mean with people.
But even
I think
just going through the process of trying to do better makes people behave better. Like just like attempting to have a better life tends to make people a lot better.
I like seeing that in human beings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you like seeing them strive for something.
I like them. Yes, every human being should have a purpose, and they should be striving to do their part on this earth in whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, do your part. Like, and listen, hey man, I got robbed last week. You know what I mean? In my life, like everybody has to have their purpose in life, right? So like, no matter what it is, like. You need to focus on that, I guess, is the best way to say it. Like, focus on yourself in a positive way and build other people up and show them how to build themselves up.
Word. There's a few things I want to ask you about, though, before we end up taking off about UF 264 that just won't be relevant anymore if we wait, right? Like, we have to do it in a little box. Yeah. And so my question is, first, this was the first UFC that they did where they didn't test for marijuana. So you could call this, and this is what my nickname for this, I have two nicknames for this UFC. UFC 264-20, which you had to be on.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's awesome. And then that was really good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And then after it was done, though, it got a new nickname.
What is it?
UFC 264 head.
264 head.
But I like 264-20, and this was the first time that you could just sanctioned, essentially, smoke weed up until the competition time. So you can't be stoned in the cage. But if being stoned,
I'm so curious to see how they would dictate that. But again, I fight day. I'm not smoking on fight day. Yeah. Anyways. I'm smoking after. I'm smoking. Yeah, I mean, I'm smoking. Well, yeah, I'm smoking after the fight. But no, man, that's why I had the best weight cut ever. It was
you think the weight cut was about the fact that you were able to be stoned?
I could consume. I am a medical patient, so I'm a medical patient and I'm a recreational patient. In that way, right? As I would say, recreation. Can I call myself a recreational patient?
I'm gonna let you stick with it. That was cute. Fucking funny. Cute.
But I feel like my weight cut. We got on weight now Thursday night, and I don't know if it was this. It was everything. Like I was calmer. I was smiling. I was enjoying myself. Like.
It was easily the best weight cut I've ever been a part of. And here's what's so funny. You described to me this moment. You were like, yeah, remember when I broke? And I was like, when you broke, you mean for that brief second where you like smiled at me and cried for a half a second and then insisted that everybody around you get tacos?
I know.
That's a weight cut breaking moment. Meanwhile, there have been other moments with other athletes where I've seen athletes try to fight people where they say they have no energy, they're fighting. I've seen you have to be restrained one time, held the fuck down, and here you are like, you remember when I broke during that cut? I'm like, bitch, you did not break. That was the easiest cut of all time. And if weed got us there, then thank God that we can keep us there. We should only fight in Nevada.
Yeah, no. We need new judges.
Oh, that's right. All right, well, we can't. I can't.
So Kansas, I think Kansas just did it.
I almost made a terrorist threat.
Or Missouri or someone else just followed suit.
I believe it was Kansas.
Or Kansas followed suit with it. This is groundbreaking. I mean, I hate that it won't go back and help all the people that, I was the first female to ever test for marijuana in the UFC. Originally, it was on a 15 nanogram level, 0.15. If that showed up and your test, basically it has to be at 0.15. I was 0.16. Like to even remotely show anything. But like, you don't have any psychoactive effects in your body in that way. Most people don't really understand how nanograms work. And I'll help them to understand a little bit. When you take a toke of it, the nanograms going by like the millions, and they dilute in our bodies like fast. I mean, you could smoke and it'd be 1 million nanograms, and then by the end of the day, and you actually just go take a drug test, and depending on your body biomechanics, right, and how your body processes, if you have got more fat, if your endocannabinoid system, is on, like there's different ways that, again, it will lower it will either lower for your body or, again, like edibles, they all do something different. So the nanograms, the way they come into our body and the way they metabolize is always going to be different every single time. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I take my test and say you take it on Thursday, and it's going to be different than when I take it on Saturday. You know what I mean? Even if I don't smoke anymore until then, it's always going to keep coming down less. In that way. So I think it's important. I think this is groundbreaking for all the fighters. I think that everyone is going to really, really enjoy this. I think that you're going to find a lot more. Hey, and let's face it, the marijuana industry is a bigger industry than fighting. Like blows it away. You know what I mean? The best.
It's growing every day.
It's growing every day because it's all over. It's all over the U.S. How can you not? I'm actually curious to find out what those numbers, and we're gonna have to get back on that with these guys. But I'm just curious what the marijuana industry is worth.
That is a good question.
Compared to how would we look that up? How would I look? Because that's actually, I'm very curious about that. Because what is the UFC worth? Right? Was it $1 billion?
No.
Or what was it?
4.2 was the first sale, and then there was a second sale for 1.8, I believe. So they got the entire thing for about $6 billion.
So what is that? So $6 billion is what it's worth, right?
$6 billion.
$6 billion. So how much is the $1 billion? How much is the?
It's just so wild. Like, you were the first woman to have to deal with that.
Oh, they threw the book at me, and I didn't
Texas,
smoke. I didn't
back in the
smoke. I did not smoke, and I would.
You're also one of the last women to have to deal with it. In terms of actually the testing and the retesting of your sample. And it ended up that you were vindicated, right? But you were one of the last women to have to deal with that. And you were the woman who's on the first card where it's all right to smoke.
Oh, shit. I didn't even think about that.
I put that shit together in my head.
Did you right now?
Yeah, I'm not.
That's actually pretty interesting.
That's just,
I'm not
these
gonna
are
lie,
those are real facts.
That is, because the last time when I fought here, because again, they don't have correct testing. So Nevada doesn't have the correct testing here that when they take your sample that night, it just goes to some Joe Schmo like lab, and it can have your nanograms higher. If I go and pay for it to get retested from another lab, like an actual LabCorp, it lowers, which is odd. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could one test be one way, and that they use, and you have to pay for it? I had another fighter friend recently. I had another fighter friend two or 3 weeks ago who is gonna have to serve a suspension in Nevada because of his limits. And I was like, dude, get it retested. He was like, oh, it's so super high. And I was like, still get it retested. He's like, I don't want to pay for that. And I'm like, why not? And
do you want to pay for it with no ability to earn money?
But even
you're gonna pay for it.
But even that being said, even that being said, in that particular way, right? Like the fact that someone's not gonna want to pay, and the fact that they have to, right? Like the Nevada Athletic Commission could do this for these athletes. They make plenty of money, plenty.
I understand what you're saying.
To retest, you know what I mean? And if that's the case, why are we not having, good testing organization that is actually, good? I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm not like a conspiracy theorist by any means in those ways. But I mean, there's been some serious like athletic drug testing issues that have happened in the past. Like there's been other ones, you know what I mean? USADA had issues years ago where the one guy left Germany, right? The one, or the Russian guy.
Oh, we're talking about Icarus.
Yeah. But I'm just saying. But that's what it is. So like the fact that there's no standard across the board.
So while you're looking up,
I got it actually over here.
Okay.
Yes.
Holy shit,
Travis.
It is worth $19.6 billion from Roy Bingham on theforbes.com.
So that's what it said. So I found this one. So the U.S. cannabis industry is worth $61 billion. Cannabis capital raises declined 67% in 2020. What does that mean?
That was the number I gave was for the U.S.
Oh.
For that, so that's direct competition, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's 3 times as large.
Yeah.
It's essentially 3 times as large.
I'm over here freaking getting my forehead split when I could be just doing podcasts and selling marijuana like a real.
Starring Jessica Evil Eye.
Listen, the only great thing about it is that I know that, again, it put me out there in a way that, the world's probably never seen me. And I hope everybody finds their warrior no matter what they do in their life from that moment. I encourage all fighters to indulge in such an incredible plant and you use medically and responsibly. In that way, it's probably a lot better for most fighters than the alcohol. So it's like,
or the fucking pills,
or the pills. I mean, you already know that. Anytime I've ever been hurt, even when I got my gallbladder removed, I was like, just give me edibles. I don't want to take painkillers. In any possible.
One more. One more. Right. We're already talking about the Nevada State Athletic Commission. We're already talking about them, but Conor has a 4-part Netflix piece that's coming out about the lead up to this fight that just happened at 264. And in that, there are pictures that have already been released of an injured leg. His left leg was apparently injured at the same area, right? And he's claiming to have stress fractures. Now, the Nevada State Athletic Commission is saying this man was fit to fight, blah, 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 blah. Do you think if you had stress fractures in your leg, A, they'd let you fight? B, do you think that if you had chosen to fight, that would be some kind of an issue?
Well, we fought Valentina with 7 herniations in my back.
That is true. That is true. And now it is public.
You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, we did that, you know what I mean? So I think as every fighter, we go in there, we know what our issues are, and nobody's body goes into a fight perfect. You know what I mean? We literally spend weeks physically abusing our body to physically abuse it on a night where we're going to literally like throw it at a wall. You know what I mean? Like, we're literally throwing ourselves out there after already of doing it for multiple weeks. So your body is exhausted, at that point. But I don't think any fighter goes in there 100%. But that being said, I have been in fights where I knew that I had an injury, right? And I didn't use the technique, right? The game plan changed to protect the injury to going forward. And, I think that if Conor did have an injury, right, like, and maybe he did. Every fighter probably can say they had one of those. You know what I mean? Like, every fighter has something. We've had fractured orbitals in camps. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure everyone has that story. Again, that being said, why would you throw that kick? Why would you use that tool? If you had a hammer that wasn't glued to the top, okay, and every time you went to swing it, it went flying, why would you use it? Why wouldn't you use all the other techniques you have? Why don't you go get a mallet? You know what I mean? Go get a new hammer. You know what I mean? You have all these other tools, so it's like, why not use another tool? You know what I mean? And then say that that's the reason why. I can't quite understand that logic. You know what I'm saying? Like, if my leg is stress fractures and then I am not taking that leg off. You're not going to throw it. I'm not throwing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that technique. So, unfortunately, I think, saying anything against Conor might get you shot by the Irish. They might come for me. But I did not like. I didn't like the way he handled himself. I don't like the way he handled the loss. And I think that that's where we're in this industry of now where like people think that they can just say and do whatever they want. Like, again, I've had issues with other fighter females. Like, bitch, don't threaten my life, right? Don't threaten me because I will do everything I have to. Like, this is just an industry. This is just a sport. Like, keep it as is. Like, don't tell people you're going to kill their family. Don't put gun signs at people's face unless you're ready for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a sport. But that's why these fans think that they can just talk to us anyway. But you know me well enough to me. If anybody ever came up to me and talked to me that way, I'm gonna catch a case. I'll catch a case in a heartbeat. I will, though. You know that.
Just so you know, folks.
Be like, I got to get her out of here. But that's not.
You can get that private lesson real quick, Like, Jessica I might come to your city, and she might do a seminar, and if you pay your $125, you can learn from Jessica I. But if you say the wrong motherfucking thing on the wrong motherfucking day, that private lesson doesn't cost $125. You can get it on the free.
Oh, hell no. But that's so that being said, like that's where these fans, like, again, like we call it the Ala Quinta, right? Like when he was like, you gonna boo me? Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you boo me? You know, how dare you? You don't know what I went through to do that. Like, so I think that there's like, where they're like, you know, motherfucking him and stuff and saying crazy things and saying things to them, like, because they watched someone else do it. They watched another fighter do it to them, and they go, oh, if he's going to do that to him, I can do that to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's not. No, it's absolutely not. Try to rob me of 51 grand again, dude. Swear to God. It'll be all bad for somebody in that way. So to stay on topic with that, I think he shouldn't have used the technique. I'm sure everybody's gonna watch his, you know, Netflix series. You know what I mean? Like to see what it's about, right? Everybody's very inquisitive on what happens in there, but at the same time, like don't demean yourself that way. You know what I mean? Because now all you're doing is just like putting this weird asterisk that like basically is mean like you're trying to come up with a reason that, you know, it was the camp's fault. You know, it was the fracture's fault. You shouldn't have thrown the kick. You don't throw the kick.
That's like for us. I feel like what he's doing is the right thing, considering that he's not selling to us. He's selling to
normal people.
To normal people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for saying normal people.
I know. I was
going to say something worse. But he's selling to normal people. So he's giving them a story that they can believe. He's like, look, I had this leg that was fucked up. And you know what? I threw it anyway. Because I can think back and I think about boxing fights that I watched growing up. And it's like, did you break your left hand in the fight? And it's like, yes, I did, but I kept throwing it. Like telling that story in the ring to Larry Merchant is something that like
I birthed a forehead eye. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get it.
So maybe he's throwing that kick thinking, I'm going to tell that story to Joe Rogan in the octagon after I fuck up Dustin Poirier. I'm going to throw this fucking broken leg and I'm going to say, I knocked him out with a broken leg. Maybe that's a part of his plan. He's thinking that, and then it doesn't go the way he planned, right?
I mean, it's not possible.
And so then you have to take the footage you have and make a narrative that you can sell to people. And you say, all right, well, I fucking broke my leg. Yeah. Well, aren't there those pictures of me with ice on my leg?
But you know what, though? Again, it goes down to, like, I think I was even talking to you about this, and I can kind of leave it on this one. Like, where was the shin conditioning? I've been watching a lot of guys break their legs, right? And I was fortunate that at Strong Style, the first gym I was at, there were times that we would do no shin pad sparring so that we could toughen up the leg and, you know, get the leg there. I almost wonder, like, are people practicing that? You know what I mean? Are we actually practicing the kicks in the gym? Because this is happening a lot. This is happening a lot. There's something, like, there's got to be something consistent across the board, right? Like, fighters have elbow, like ACL, like they're known for things. Like now, like legs are getting broke every single fight. And is there something going on? And that's, you know, I mean, I'm sure for each camp to figure out, but
things have tipping points.
But me knowing that, prime example. Let me just use me as an example. We threw the right kick 1,000,000 times in the last fight. We did that the entire camp. We threw that leg kick. We knew when I threw my leg kick, it wasn't going to hurt me. We knew it was going to hurt her, but it wasn't going to hurt me because we had threw it so many times. We had built up that tenacity in my leg and like that ability for my, like your neurons in your skin to know like, hey dude, when I make contact, I'm good. I'm not going to break. My bone had blood already drawn into it before and it was ready for that, you know? So I'm kind of curious.
I think it's a case of the defense hasn't developed at the same rate as the offense. And you saw the same thing happen in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when everyone started winning with leg locks. They were winning with leg locks not because leg locks were brand new, it was because the offense had surpassed the defense. People's defense sucked. And so right now, the leg attacks are excellent.
Yeah.
The leg defense, not so much. The leg conditioning, non-existent.
But that's what I say. I don't think that it's happening, and I don't think that it's because it is hard. You know what I mean? It is absolutely hard. And we were able to, Kite Cope allowed me to kick him so that my... You know
a lot.
Yeah, a lot. That ability for my shin to know what that skin felt like when I hit him, and my muscles had to react off of my hitting of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody's like, oh, I'm just going to throw a kick. Like, it doesn't mean that, like, hey, if I throw a really hard pitch and I'm not used to throwing that pitch, I could throw my arm out. You know what I mean? I have a separated shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, oh, God, my arm's out. You know what I mean in that way? So I think it was terrible technique use. You know, on his behalf, he shouldn't have used that tool if there was any issues with it, you know. And I'm interested to see what his documentary will come out. Connor's always putting out something. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard not to. I mean, we saw him and RDA get in a fight at the weigh-in. So, like, there's always something entertaining with him. You know, like, there's something.
Is that public?
I think RDA actually put something out there, but it was kind of crazy, man. I'm like, geez, who was this kind of energy? Like, you guys, like, literally, and I didn't have a bad cut. Like, I literally, you know, was able to have snacks throughout the night. But I was like, dude, why are y'all gonna fight for money in a little bit? What are y'all trying to fight for free right now? You know what I'm saying?
While you're
like,
depleted.
While you're depleted, yeah, exactly. Looking all tiny and skinny.
You don't even feel good.
You know what I mean? Like, you're just mad. Go eat. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, what a card that was. You know what I mean? It was what an entire fight card it was, and what an opportunity to be on such a good fight card. And hey, I mean, at least if I'm gonna get robbed, we did some epic shit and we birthed an eyeball out of my forehead. Joe Rogan, that's my logo. I'm coming for it. I am the eye. But I'm very glad it all happened the way that it did, because I feel stronger. The more that we talk about it, the better I feel. And I'm excited for our future here on this podcast. And I totally appreciate everybody for tuning in and listening to us. You guys have been absolutely great. I hope to entertain you constantly. This was our very first one ever. So literally, there was no schedule.
Freestyle.
We freestyled all of this. So I hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait to get back and see you guys soon. We're going to have a lot of cool content coming out. I'm going to be sharing lots of levels of my life as well as Darren's life, as well as my knowledge. And I appreciate everyone taking this journey with me. And I hope you can follow me on How I See It with Jessica I.